Get higher, baby. Get higher, baby. Get higher, girl. Hey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pageless Library. I am Bo Knight, and with me, as always, is Ryan Knight, and we are a little podcast about reviewing audiobooks. And today we are looking at Caffeine, which is an Audible original. I bet you can guess what it's about.
Actually, I would say I bet you can't guess what it's about.
Yeah, that's kind of fair.
Well, but let's save that because we'll get into that. So before we get started here, if anybody wants to get caffeinated up and write us an email, that'd be great.
Uncaffeinated, just write us one.
Yeah. Either way. But you could email us over at kotpl.pod@gmail.com. Tweet at us at Pageless Library. You could go over to YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff over there. Knights of the Pageless Library. Facebook, Knights of the Pageless Library. I think you guys are seeing the theme here. Reddit, r/KOTPL. And if you want to join us over on Discord, you could email us and ask me, and I will send you your library card so you can come into the library and chat with us over there.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
It would be great. We'd love to hear from you.
We would. So, yeah, as I said, this is an Audible original, so I don't think you can get it anywhere but Audible. Maybe you can get it somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how that works because I know I've seen a few that say only from Audible in the corner of the thumbnail, but you could definitely get it somewhere else, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and it was actually a last month, so it was a February Audible original, which I guess you could get for like a day. You could get it if you really wanted to.
Yeah, you could still get it, I guess, if you really wanted, but maybe you should wait till we're done with this review before you choose that. So let's see. This was written and narrated by Michael Pollan. This book is a nonfiction, and it is classified also as a social sciences.
Interesting.
It's kind of like a documentary, essentially, sort of.
Yeah.
But from one guy's opinion. Let's just put that.
Okay.
So yeah, this was like written in like 2019 and published in like this year in 2020. So it's really new. Like I said, it was written by Michael Pollan. Pollan, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
And looks like he's pretty much known for this kind of stuff. It says bios and memoirs, science and technology, and health and fitness writing. So this is apparently like his bread and butter.
Yeah. Or his coffee and tea.
Nice. Well played. So he narrates this one. What do you think? What do you think about him?
I don't like when people narrate their own stuff.
I don't either, actually. I mean,
you know what? Like, I know some people are like, "Ooh, well, didn't they read it the way they intended?" It's like, or maybe you suck at reading out loud.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
no, there isn't. But don't read my books to me.
Exactly. There's a reason that this is kind of what we try to highlight on this podcast. Obviously, this is the most important part of what we are looking at is kind of the narrator, because the narrator makes or breaks the story. And for me, in this one, I mean, I'll talk about this a little bit more after the spoiler wall. I felt like this guy wasn't even so much reading his book as he was just like literally telling a story kind of almost on the fly.
Yeah.
Is more how it felt. Because everything in his book is...
Yeah, okay, you go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say everything in the book is written in first person. So he's literally saying, I did this, we did this. And it was kind of weird.
But it's so... Let's... hang on. I want to wait to talk about more things.
Okay.
So, okay. This book, super short. It's only like 2 hours long.
It's 2 hours and 2 minutes. So, yes, it's very short.
I don't see a price. Do you?
Nope. I don't. So.
Oh. I mean, easy to listen to. It's pretty easy to listen to. But I mean, if you were to fall asleep and wake up, you'd be fine.
Yeah, you wouldn't miss much.
I don't know what else to say about it. Right.
I don't either.
So far.
Let's go into our recommendations, and then we will pass the spoiler wall. So, what do you think? What do you recommend?
I didn't hate it, and I found certain parts of it interesting, but I really feel like it didn't leave a lasting effect on me.
No, I also didn't. I did not like it.
I didn't hate it.
I kind of did because
Really, I kind of could tell.
I don't think it should be called Caffeine. First of all, I think it should be called Coffee because that's all he talked about. I mean,
and I didn't really like that. It's like I know he's really trying to like pull all these different angles together, but it was like really janky the way he's kind of like connecting each of his points.
Right.
And in a weird, like, discombobulated order. And I know he's trying to be cute when he's writing it, too. And he's like, I know you're probably wondering about the thing that I talked about earlier, and I'm going to talk about it now. It's like, it's not cute. It's just bad writing.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I mean. And that's also what I mean when I say that it felt more like he was telling the story on the fly versus reading out of a book. Like,
yeah.
I feel like if I was reading a book and it was trying to pull those little tongue-in-cheek moments, it wouldn't come across at all, you know?
I didn't like that he was like, writing as if you're reading it like the same day that he wrote it. You know what I mean? He's
yes, exactly.
I didn't have coffee today and it was very hard. He was like weirdly like journaling it at the same time.
Exactly.
And it felt so unnecessary.
Right. And I liked the history of coffee stuff.
Me too.
Beans. I liked that. I really did. I would be more curious to hear that stuff in depth though, compared to hearing like that he felt groggy in the morning because he didn't have coffee. Like,
and how unmotivated he was to write.
Exactly. I was not that interested in those parts. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I don't really recommend this one. I didn't find it. I don't think you're missing anything if you skip this one.
I'm not gonna not recommend it, but I'm not gonna recommend it either. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's like I don't know. I guess if you have 2 hours and you are like locked in a room with just your phone, and for some reason this is the only book you have downloaded, it's pretty good.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't go out of my way at all to listen to this. No. For any reason.
That's kind of what I mean. That's why I'm not gonna recommend it.
But I don't think it's not like hot garbage.
No, absolutely
it's
not.
Not that good either.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I agree with you, but I'm definitely saying I don't recommend it. So,
spoilers, I guess.
Yeah. So we're gonna go past the spoiler wall and ruin this whole book for you. So, 3,
I don't
2,
know about
1,
that
go.
even. Like I guess I kind of talked about it a little bit already, but I really didn't like the snippets he's giving into his life at all.
No, yeah, and you explained that very well. That is almost, you're basically like reading his journal, and even with him being like, when so and so talks about coffee, quote, it's like, dude, you don't have to tell us every time there's quotes.
Yeah.
Like, just this is exactly why it would be better to have a narrator, because a narrator would just use a different voice or something. Like,
yeah, and he was trying to be too cute for me. It's like I don't like, it doesn't matter if you call out the fact that you're doing like a bad writing thing, it's still bad writing.
Right.
And I didn't like, the story was so jank and all over the place, and like just when he was getting into like interesting stuff about like like where coffee is grown and stuff like that, he like breaks it up with stuff about his life, and it's like, well, I do not care about this part.
Right. And exactly, that the parts that I found interesting were the like history of coffee beans and coffee, and that stuff was awesome. That's mostly what
it was really interesting.
But exactly, like when he was breaking it up with like And that's fine. I like that he did the little social experiment of not drinking coffee and then going back to it and all this stuff. Like that's good. Document that. That's great. Um, but I don't need to hear every single journal entry about it. I don't. Sum up the parts that were interesting and let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, quit wasting my time. I don't care.
Right. Well, and then he does like the little tongue-in-cheek stuff, like towards the end, like if you made it this far, you're blah blah blah, and hopefully you're still listening. But of course you still are. It's like, who are you writing this for? Yourself?
I know it literally was like look at how great I am. It felt like sometimes.
Yeah, it was kind of, yeah. I didn't really like that part of it, and I mean, I think for me the biggest elephant in the room is the fact that I said earlier. It shouldn't be called caffeine. It should be called coffee because that's literally all he talked about. He talked a little bit about tea
for 3 seconds.
Okay. My biggest thing though is I kept like looking at my phone and I was like, okay, we're getting close to the end of this thing. Is this guy going to really talk about soda at all? And he did briefly for about half a second. Nothing about like energy drinks. I mean, I was like, okay, you should have wrote this book about 30 years ago. It would have made more sense. Not today when we have so many more options as far as caffeine goes.
Well, and I didn't like that he was like, like one of the things I really thought he was getting interesting was he was like juxtaposing the freaking like tea rituals with like how people consume coffee on a regular basis.
Sure.
But he didn't do anything with it. He just like brings up that there's these two big differences, and then he doesn't go anywhere with it though. Like he didn't really explain anything, or he just brought up the fact that there is a difference.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. And yeah, and he's like, a cup of tea has about half the caffeine as a cup of coffee. But if you drink 2, you have the same amount of caffeine. I was like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, I can do basic math, so
yeah, I
just thought for sure though, with a title like Caffeine, that he was gonna talk about like, he never really truly said like, is it good or bad? He never really explained any of that. He kind of explained what caffeine does to us, which I thought that was interesting stuff, but didn't say if he was basically on the fence about like what caffeine is to us.
I thought like the stuff with the bees is interesting, how they like, like they react to caffeine.
Yeah, and I thought the reason that they think caffeine exists is basically as, those plants' way of deterring animals from eating them, essentially.
Well, it's poisonous to insects. I've actually used caffeine, like stuff like that.
See, that's awesome. That's the kind of stuff that I like to hear about. But I wanted it to evolve then, like, how do we get from the like, how do we make the connections? It's kind of like, so like you said earlier with he's all over the place. That's how I'm feeling right now, because all I'm picturing is that he had all these pictures up on his wall and he has all these fucking yarn strings between them all.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And he's like, yeah.
And then he's trying to write a story based on his yarn strings on the wall. But what I really wanted to know is, okay, how did we get from coffee becoming regularly consumed to now almost the abuse of it in things like energy drinks, energy shots, caffeine pills, pre-workout? Like, I wanted him to move into that stuff, but maybe he didn't feel comfortable enough to, because he has no experience in those things, I'm assuming.
You're right. And now that I think about it, it's pretty ballsy to call this book Caffeine when he like barely even scratched the surface.
Okay, exactly. I'm glad we got to the same point, because I feel like it was more about coffee, and
it was about coffee. Why did you just call it coffee?
Exactly. That was kind of my biggest gripe, and why
I didn't even really think about it until like right now. But you're so right.
That was my like through the whole thing. I was waiting. I was like, okay, when are we gonna move on from coffee to the to the hardcore caffeine? Since that's what the book is called, is caffeine. And he never does. He never moves into that stuff. He doesn't even talk about it. He talks briefly for the fact that caffeine is added to soda, That's it. That's all he says.
Yeah, but like literally 3 seconds. He's like, "Ooh, they say it's for flavor, but when they tried sodas without caffeine and with caffeine, nobody could tell the difference." Blah, blah, blah. That's literally it.
Yeah, and then he moves on, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, so then what is the significance of that? Isn't there some significance then? Like, what what is the point?
I don't know. It's
And
dumb.
he was like, it's kind of like the bees, the bees prefer stuff with caffeine, even though it might not change the flavor. I was like, okay, so
Well, I did think it was interesting that bees would go back to the same plants even when they didn't have any nectar left,
right,
which was that was really interesting to me
yeah,
because it's
those
like
things,
that's like non-survival behavior.
right, those things were very interesting. Yeah, and I like that he talks about that caffeine almost, or well, coffee essentially, because coffee is mostly what he's talking about, but like the coffee plant, it basically almost has like this symbiotic hold on us where if it keeps producing the fruit that we want, then we will continue to keep it safe and keep it growing and stuff like that.
And what was the point of him even telling us that he went to see coffee plants?
I have no idea. I didn't find that interesting at all, and I thought
No,
I
it
would.
was so stupid. It was like, "Oh, you picked some fruit? Good for you, dude. Who
Yeah.
cares?"
Yeah, I didn't find that interesting at all. I mean, yeah,
You know what this kind of reminds me of, as far as books go? That Climbing with Molly.
bingo. Yep. I just uploaded that to YouTube
Really?
like a couple days ago, and I I was like, man, that book was not good.
I don't know.
But I agree too, because that book, in the same way, you felt like it was building towards something the whole time, and then it just ends. And this book does the same thing. There was no real like good climax or good like aha moment or
No,
anything.
there was just a line, a straight line.
Yeah. Yeah, no lows, but also no highs. Like, yeah, just very flat, very kind of boring.
Well, I think I said earlier, like I feel like this had no impact on me. Like I'm not gonna remember any of it.
Right. No, that's why I'm glad we're doing this so soon after I listened to it,
I
because
just
otherwise,
finished it like yesterday.
okay, good, yeah, because otherwise I wouldn't have remembered anything about it.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I don't know. Are we done beating this caffeinated horse?
Yeah, this poor. I'm just gonna call it a coffee
Emaciated.
horse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a coffee horse. It is a
Yeah.
coffee horse.
Yeah, because it doesn't even deserve the title of caffeine.
What are we gonna do next time?
I don't know. Are we gonna do that other Audible original?
Yeah, what
Alone.
was it called?
I think it was Alone Amongst the Stars.
Okay, I'm in.
I believe.
And then let's follow that up with a big one, just so we can say now, just so I can start listening to it.
Okay. Let's do The Jester.
I know. I was hoping you would say that.
Okay.
Oh yes. I
glad
mean, I don't know. Is it good? I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out. It is Alone with the Stars is the next Audible original that we'll do, and it's also nice and short. So,
Cool.
and then yes, like we said, after that we will do The Jester by why can't I think of his name?
James Patterson and Andrew Gross or Gross.
Yep, correct. So yeah, we hope to see everybody in those episodes. Again, just a quick reminder, we're still waiting on our first email. So please, somebody do us a favor. kotpl.pod@gmail.com and make our day.
Yeah. Make my whole week, honestly. Yeah, but I think on that we will end this one.
Yeah, hope to catch you guys in the next one.